And of course, Nick, we're coming up to the big Everest and Caulfield Cup Carnival. So, what a better time than to look at the track specialists? And just before we get into it and we go through these top five leaderboards, I just want to talk to this because, look, it's been proven, people who like a track, who say they like it for a reason. And it usually shows in their stats. So if you're going to follow someone, come to the site. You can cut the numbers by any track in Australia, in fact, in the world, where there are race meetings. And that's what we're doing here. We're cutting those numbers to see really who are the track specialists. So why don't we start with Randwick, Mick?
Mate, let's do it.
All right. So looking at the leaderboard here for Randwick, 365 days profit on turnover percentage. Oh, look, I'll tell you what, Davo, I'm almost getting fatigued saying his name. It's like Davo. So there he is at the top, 28% pot, 94 tips, the reasonable number at the track, and that nice average price there. John Hurahan from Winning Post. Here's one, Mick. You ready for this one? So checked in with the boys at Winning Post to get a bit of background on John. Learned that he has retired from tipping to take up his lawn mowing business, mate. So let us know, mate, when you're getting tired of tipping. I've got a few lawns at the front and back, mate, you can do for me.
Mate, absolutely. Wouldn't be the first time I've mowed your lawns.
Cameron Me there from the Mercury and from the Sydney Morning Herald stable. Look, I had a good chat with Cameron. He's a good bloke. He's a Dragon supporter, so it must be. Oh. Must be a good bloke.
Long suffering.
But look, watches a lot of racing. In particular, he likes looking at runners who are deeper into their prep. Look, he actually gave us a bit of an early tip for the Everest. Yeah, he's pretty hot on Nature Strip, mate. So,
oh, man.
Barrier 10, there's a lot of chatting going on, but he obviously believes in the horse and he can do it. I mean, records are there, or all these sort of facts are there to be broken, aren't they, at the end of the day?
Mate, just on that, I saw something coming out from one of the media personalities saying Nature Strip from Barrier 9 onwards, blah, 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 hasn't won. Next, irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant. It's well suited, anything else. Like, it's just garbage. Those stats are just garbage. Anyway, sorry to chime in, sorry to thunder off the next person, but fair dinkum, please.
That's the one I was referring to. Yeah. Anyhow, look, Cameron's sticking with the champ, Nature Strip, so it's certainly a good price at the moment. So then we got Luke Hovannessian from the Great Tip-Off. Look, Luke is a young form analyst, puts in a lot of work. Mick, thoughts on Luke?
Mate, rising star, part of the GTO team. Awesome. Great to see he's out there doing some amazing work. That's pretty impressive data. I'm also glad you pronounced his surname because I tend to avoid it. But, man, Luke's doing great things. He's a star on the rise. And, mate, I think we're going to see him only rise up that leaderboard. So good to see. And then, mate, in finish, another GTO analyst there. We got Joshy Reid.
Yeah, Joshy Reid. He's spoken. I think he's been on this show more than any. I think he might even top off Davo there in terms of his appearances on leaderboards. But again, this is a cracking year for Josh. He has just, I mean, he was solid in past years, but he's just gone to a new level this year. So, if you're looking for punters and tipsters to follow at Randwick this weekend, it's Everest Day. These guys are, except for John, of course, because he's not tipping anymore, but the other four are there. Look them up. Look, the guys from the GTO in particular, they'll be putting out some free tips as well, so chime in. And moving on now to Caulfield, of course, for the big Caulfield Cup Carnival. And look, I did an interview with the Braz a couple of years ago, Mick, and one thing I've put to him there is, are you aware that Caulfield is your best performing track out of all of them? And he had no idea. But that was the fact. But just to show, here we are 2 years later and he still holds that stat. So, gosh, I'll tell you what, if you're going to follow someone, you could go a lot worse than following Braz, I'd say, with those stats.
They say you get a sore neck when you're looking back, and Braz is obviously too busy doing next week's form. So, but definitely no surprise to see him at the top of another leaderboard.
No, he's a hard worker, and so is this this bloke on the leaderboard. I'll tell you what, Ray Thomas does put out more tips than the tip bot Braz. So obligated to tip in every race. But when you cut the numbers like this, you just see how good someone like Ray Thomas is. 15% pot from 161 tips at the track. with a nice average price there as well. 30% strike rate. He's almost hitting 1 in 3. Geez, he's a lovely guy. I had the opportunity to meet him at the Golden Eagle last year. He's a great guy, Ray Thomas. Now, Gary Harley, I mean, on Sky, I think he's mainly focusing on New South Wales, but in the Sydney Morning Herald, he actually puts his tips for Melbourne, and they're doing very well. I mean, here's a guy who cops a bit, but look, he's on this leaderboard more times than punters would have baked in, as I reckon. Does okay. Gilbert Gardner from the Herald Sun is there as well. Nice pot, 7%. Remember, these are starting prices from a stack of tips, so certainly someone to follow. And remember, we did an article a couple of years ago on Grace Ramage there, Mick?
Mate, she's on fire, mate. That's she's still chipping away. I'll tell you one thing I just want to mention here, mate.
Yeah.
And obviously we've always got this, Sydney-Melbourne rivalry. But what's doing? 3 out of the top 5 Caulfield's specialists spend most of their time in Sydney.
Yep, that's a good point. I didn't notice that one, but yeah, look, well, I just think it goes.
Maybe I'll just give up on doing Sydney and Melbourne. Seems easier.
Well, it just goes to show, though, doesn't it, that you don't have to live near the track or breathe the track. But having said that, I do recall in our Amazing Grace article at thegreattipoff.com when we spoke and interviewed Grace Ramage, she mentioned that her favourite track is Caulfield. So her favourite track is Caulfield. She knows it's a favourite. The performance suggests that's the case. Hey, you could probably go a lot worse than following Grace on Caulfield Cup Day.
Absolutely. It's definitely worth doing.